Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So for the last couple of years, the AI space has been, well, it's been a whirlwind, right? Just endless, dazzling magic tricks and these massive world-changing promises. But in April 2026, the illusion kind of ended, and the actual machinery of modern business really kicked into gear. Today, we're breaking down a highly insightful executive snapshot on what exactly happened during that pivotal shift. We're going to look at how enterprise AI fundamentally changed its posture, moving out of the sandbox and deep into actual functioning production workflows. Let's get right into it. The central thesis of our analysis really boils down to this one quote. Take a look. April 2026 was not about AI becoming possible, it was about enterprises making AI operational. Honestly, this is massive. The whole hype phase? Yeah, that's officially dead, and actual execution has begun. We're no longer sitting around asking if the technology works in a vacuum. Businesses are actually taking these capabilities and, hardwiring them into their day-to-day operational realities. Okay, let's dive into this macro-level shift. Section 1, from experimentation to execution. To really understand how we got from just playing with the tech to putting it to work, you have to compare March to April. It's kind of like night and day. Back in March, enterprises were totally obsessed with experimentation. Actually, let's call it what it was. They were playing around. They were writing these broad, high-level policies and swooning over flashy demos, even if those demos hallucinated half the time. But April saw a hard pivot to execution. Instead of broad policies, companies suddenly demanded enforceable controls. Instead of evaluating how cool a demo looked, they started looking at workflow ownership, exception handling, and, frankly, concrete business outcomes. Businesses simply stopped caring about what the AI could do in theory. They only cared about what it was doing in their specific workflows. Moving right along, let's look at where this is happening. Section 2, AI in real workflows. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive disparity in maturity across different departments. Look at customer operations and operations and supply chain. They are completely leading the pack with full production deployments. And why is that? It's because their work is highly structured, it's high volume, and it's exception-based. AI is being used right now to efficiently triage customer issues or monitor supply chain inputs and just automatically follow up with suppliers. Sales and marketing are also seeing some production deployment, but it's for very narrow use cases that are heavily gated by brand risk controls. Meanwhile, you look at areas like software engineering or internal knowledge management, and they're still heavily gated at the scaling pilot phase. They just require much tighter access controls before letting AI loose on core code repositories or super sensitive data. So, the unifying theme tying all of this together is what we call supervised autonomy. We are definitely no longer dealing with polite little chatbots that just sit there and passively answer questions. Agentic AI is now coordinating operational steps within defined business processes. The agents actually take the actions, strict guardrails limit their scope, and humans are brought in specifically and only to review the exceptions. AI is basically being treated as an active operating layer that can route, summarize, and escalate. It's a real game changer. Which brings us to the intellectual crux of the whole thing. Section 3. Shift to decision architecture. The hidden engine making this operational shift possible is decision architecture. As we push AI into production, the main bottleneck is absolutely no longer the AI's IQ. Models are smart enough now. The real constraint is organizational. Decision architecture is simply the framework that determines who can decide, who must approve, when an issue is escalated, and ultimately where the accountability actually sits. Think about that for a second. Most AI failures today are organizational, not technical. It is fundamentally about system design. And because of that, we need a totally new breed of operational governance. You need hard-coded approvals, ironclad auditability so you can see exactly what the AI did and why, totally clear escalation paths, strict role-based access controls, and honestly, perhaps most importantly, tested kill switches. Governance isn't just some boring PDF sitting on an internet page anymore. It is an enforceable, hard-coded software mechanism wired right into the system itself. All right, let's talk about the tech backing this up. Section 4, infrastructure for scale. To enforce those governance mechanisms we just talked about, you obviously need the right tools. Buying AI is no longer a casual IT sourcing exercise. Well, actually, scratch that. It was never really casual, but you know what I mean. It is now a core part of the operating model. The signal we saw in April 2026 was crystal clear. Enterprises are demanding absolute proof of value, accountable outcomes, and super stringent risk controls before they expand their AI footprint even an inch. They are not buying to experiment anymore. They are buying infrastructure for operational scale.
Because agentic AI workloads are out there doing real work, they demand real production-grade infrastructure. Enterprises are aggressively prioritizing orchestration layers, control planes, and platforms that support repeatable execution across multiple varied workflows. You literally cannot run a supervised autonomy model across a massive supply chain without an orchestration layer to track the whole shebang. So yeah, the infrastructure is being purchased for heavy operational scale.
Now let's pivot to the human element. Section 5, Workforce Impact and Actions. Technology is obviously only half the equation here. How does this shift actually change the people doing the work? A lot of the early panic was about, mass job replacement, but the reality of operational AI is way more nuanced than that. The impact really shows up in supervision and workflow redesign. Employees are now spending their time validating AI outputs, managing the exceptions that the AI just can't handle, and dealing with those weird edge case escalations. We're seeing entirely new roles emerge around agent ownership and workflow review. Having your team shift from manual data entry to AI supervision, that is a true mark of operational maturity.
So if you're a leader watching this explainer right now, consider this your immediate survival guide. Step 1. You must scale only where workflows are bounded, measurable, and governable, places like customer ops and knowledge routing. Step 2. Implement that operational governance we talked about. Every single AI workflow needs an owner, it needs approval thresholds, and it needs a tested kill switch, no exceptions. And step 3, change your operating model. Stop treating AI as a standalone productivity tool like some fancy calculator, and start treating it as a core execution system. Here is the ultimate bottom line for you. Competitive advantage now comes from operationalization, not access alone. Everyone can rent the exact same baseline AI models. Simply having the model, that is no longer enough to win. Success today requires strategic integration, meticulous system design, and deep workflow ownership. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. As we transition away from asking, is the AI correct, we are suddenly facing a much more profound structural challenge. The central question for every enterprise leader today is simply this: should AI be allowed to decide this? Think about how that fundamentally changes your business, your governance, and your team. I highly encourage you to look at your own workflows today, right after this explainer, and ask yourself that exact question. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.